Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson coming at you. Final hour of the week as we head into the Super Bowl. You know how to associate Final Hour. It's when our main man, the award-nominated producer of Nothing Personal, can't wait to talk about that. Let's bring him in. Matthew Coca, join me. Let's talk. I got a few things for you. You're back to your Mets hat. Now you're all happy they got Bichette and you're back ready to go, or it just matches your vest?
Well, is my microphone working?
Yes,
that's the most important. Great. That's the most important thing this week is
I'm
the
very
microphone
proud of
working.
You. 1 week it took.
Dude, I mean, it was another one of those mornings, right, in the pre-show where you could feel it. Like you could feel I was about to get the hammer out of the drawer and get ready to just smash the computer again, but you know, we fought through the adversity and here we are. Microphone is working, thank God. But yeah,
you were nominated for an award, Coca. You can't smash equipment now. And you were nominated. There's something called the Duckies, which is really cool. It's the first award that they're doing called the Ducky Awards. And you're in a category like the Jenga of the industry. If you're not there, so you're nominated next to people, including someone else from Meadowlark Media, Danny Benitez, that if you're not there, the show just disappears. It dies. And there it was. Matthew Coca, Nothing Personal with David Samson. Matthew Coca is, because you are, but if you use a hammer, I think they would take away the nomination. Unprecedented, but it could happen.
Well, I appreciate being nominated. I'm going to go out there at the end of next week. Hopefully I win. You know, that's all I really got. I mean,
winning, being nominated is fine, but no, you got to win. Because if you don't win, what's this? I mean, I guess, you know, with actors, they get Academy Award nominee, starring Academy Award nominee. Sometimes it says starring Academy Award winner. I guess it's better to win, for sure. It's such BS. I'm just happy to be nominated. But I'm glad you're happy to be nominated, but you need to win.
I want to start this hour outside of the award, but you know, talking about what happened with the Washington Post yesterday. I can't really speak on what happens on the political side of things, right? Like I don't know about their foreign press, their war press, you know, the art section, but the sports section in general, and just talking about like where we are right now and what our, as in fans and people, what their hunger is for good journalism when it comes to sports itself. And I think the big thing that people are missing, a lot of blame is being put on Jeff Bezos, right? And I don't think that Jeff Bezos killed the sports section. I think that, you know, he held the hammer that put the nail in the coffin of the sports section for sure. But where we are right now, and just in terms of media itself, that's what killed the sports section. And social media killed the sports section. And aggregator accounts killed the sports section. Because if you go onto Twitter and you look at these accounts, you know, you have these people, and all they do is steal content. All of they're doing is just taking somebody else's story, just putting it out there, and they have millions of followers just doing that. So it's just like they are incentivized, and social media has done this, right? And YouTube does this, and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok.
You got this.
I can't even. No, I lost it right there. I watched
incentivizes, and now my guess is you can't finish your thought.
No, I can finish it. Incentivizes stealing and stolen content. So it's really hard for a paper like the Washington Post to survive in an environment like this where people aren't going to pay, right? They're not going to subscribe for this because they feel as if that information is free, because that's what, you know, we've done. That's just the world that we've moved into, is a world where you get information fast and you get it for free because you're not paying for Twitter, right? You're not doing that. So the information is right there for you. So why should you pay for a paper, you know, if you could just go onto Twitter and look at an account that's just going to tweet out all the information? So yesterday, you know, the NBA trade deadline is happening, and all these trades are happening, and these people who are paid big money to break these stories are getting that information. And then you just go and look at some of these, you know, these other Twitter accounts, and they have that information, you know, 1 second after that person tweets. And nothing annoys me more in this industry than seeing some of these accounts and they just say hat tip, right? Hat tip to this. No, you're not hat tipping anything. You're stealing people's content so that you can grow your own subscriber base. But that's just the way we are now, and that's just the way the media environment is. So I feel horrible for the people of the Washington Post, but this is what we've done, right? We've done this, and it's funny because you mentioned in the first hour, video killed the radio star, right? And that's just essentially what
Did
this
you know that
is.
reference or not?
Yeah, I did.
Did you know that reference?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy. So do you know that that was the first video ever on MTV?
Yeah, and it's when you look at something like that, it's funny that that came out. But if you look at where we are today, the radio is still around, but I don't believe that MTV is doing that well.
Well, no, MTV shuttered its music video channel and it played the Buggles video, Killed the Radio Star video as the final video, too. But this is a huge debate, obviously, what's going on with the Washington Post. And you've got journalists who are despondent, and you've got people on the left who are saying, how could Jeff Bezos just not write a check? I mean, with what he's worth, he could write a check right now and he could cover 5 years. Nobody would lose their jobs. There'd be every section, the book section, the entertainment section, the arts section, the sports section. Everything would be fine. Then you're talking about information where, hey, this trade happened. We're getting that from, you call it an insider, so do many people. I just call it a conduit. They didn't. The Warriors trade that happened last night with Kuminga for Porzingis with Buddy Hield, that was not rumored by any insider. It was reported after it was done. Insiders are reporting stuff that is fed to them, period. They just happen to get it because they got the relationships and they're paid for that, and it's a very, very incestuous relationship. However, that said, what the Washington Post did, or thought it did, was journalism. Investigative journalism, sports journalism, where you write stories, you report stories. And they were confusing that, or people were, with what the sports page has become. The sports page used to be box scores. It's not anymore. No one needs a box score on the sports page. It used to be game summaries. Don't need that anymore. Why would you send people, quote unquote, beat writers to the Olympics to report on the Olympics, the results, when you've already got a way to get to your audience real time what results are? So to me, Coca, I'm torn because the industry you and I are in, we're supposed to be very upset. But the reason I'm not is that I am understanding of why decisions like this are made. Timing weird. Olympics, Super Bowl, the Wizards made a trade yesterday when they got Anthony Davis, and people are saying, oh, I guess the Post can't report it. Yeah, they can run a wire story, and people aren't learning anything about the Anthony Davis trade other than from online. So I'm torn, Coca, but I get it completely.
Yeah, I think that part is true because you weren't raised, as a journalist, right? So you weren't, your industry is not in danger. You came into the media later in life. You were always on the other side of that fence when you were a team president, right? You're working with the media. So I can understand that you don't have an emotional attachment to it. But to me, it's more just about like where we are and the stories that are being told, right? Is there going to be a journalistic standard, moving forward? Because right now there isn't. Just the way that we communicate on social media, and I'm always going to go back to social media, right, being the cause of this happening. As long as these accounts continue to be paid to do jobs that's just stealing information and making it their own, it is always going to be like this. And I think the biggest one to me was always Bleacher Report, right? Bleacher Report did this better than everybody else, where they just aggregated everybody else's content and they turned it into something greater. But then you can look at every other industry too, right? Now we live in this influencer world. And if you go onto TikTok or Instagram, everything there is just one influencer doing the same thing that 100 other influencers or smaller content creators have done before them, and they're getting their likes and they're getting their money doing things like that. So it really is tough because I don't understand the business side of things, right? I can't tell you what the Washington Post could have done better because I wasn't a subscriber to the Washington Post to know what they could have done better. But I'm just saying, as an industry as a whole, has changed significantly since I was in school, and that was 12 years ago.
I'm not going to throw away cars because people die in car accidents. And so I absolutely am not going to throw away social media because there are irresponsible people on it, or because there are a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, or there are people who are making money who are absolute dolts, or there are people who use the platform to spread malicious hatred. Crime is crime. Online bullying is a crime, and you cannot commit a crime. But for whatever reason in our country, we've never had stupidity as a felony or a misdemeanor. We've never had misinformation. We have an entire law based on what is slander and libel, written and spoken, when there is you can't say something for the purpose of misleading. You cannot say something that you know to be true. There's all sorts of laws on the book about it, but none of it rises to what happens on social media, where you don't know whether you're being tricked, you don't know whether you're being influenced, you don't know whether it's a paid contributor. We made laws, Coca. How about this? Political ads. That's brand new, 10 years, 15 years old. At the end of political ads, this ad approved and paid for by blank, because we were worried in the political world where you have to vote if you're being misled. But if you're buying a pair of headphones, we don't worry too much. We've got consumer product safety. We've got people who are supposed to be thinking about it, but the thresholds are much, much different. When it comes to sports and to reporting, we're not going to get involved as a society in who's the insider, who's getting us information first on a trade, who's evaluating who won a trade, who didn't win a trade. And it's simply, there's no market for it the way there used to be, because people will listen to anybody. I want to switch gears to gambling, please. I know we're on DraftKings, that are a partner, and I love it. What about on social media, the gambling influencers, where all you need is a microphone, and you get to go on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, and you get to say, here's my pick. What about David Samson, this guy who has a show who does a nothing personal pick of the day? How is it, are we responsible for people who take our picks of the day and lose money or win money based on what our picks are? I've been thinking a lot about this as my algorithm has turned from pick of the day into all these people with their picks of the day, and wondering whether we should even continue because people just get it from everywhere. What is your thought on that?
On which part? Like, what is
whether pick of the day, whether it is responsible, anybody can just give their view of a game. There's nobody with true insight. It used to be that there were special people hired by our former network at CBS who were hired to be the gambling experts. They were hired to do shows on picks and gambling, and it's a huge part of a network. And it turns out anybody can make the same picks with the same results.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that you would say, if you are a defender of Jeff Bezos, right? Like, it's don't tell people what to do with their own money. So it's like, if you're giving out picks and somebody is taking that pick, it's hard to feel a responsibility by doing something like that when you are telling people, like when people are spending their own money doing these things when they don't have to, right? You don't have to take a pick because you're giving your pick on the show. It doesn't mean that I have to go home, and jump on DraftKings and place that bet myself, right? It could just be, for fun content.
Or that you use it as a frame of reference because you're going on DraftKings, you're getting the account, and you're thinking to yourself, well, here's what Samson thinks. So is it the same as the people who are selling cars where there's laws, you're protected against a lemon, so you're protected against me being malicious and purposely having information that something's going to happen and going the other way with a pick, which of course I don't have and would never do. But there are protections in place for that. That's the integrity issue. But when a car salesman goes out and tries to tell you that their car is the best car and that they've got the best performance on the road, et cetera, and it's up to you to research and to decide whether you agree, and you can read whatever magazines, you can read audience reviews, driver reviews. I think the onus these days, Coca, on where to eat, what to buy, what to gamble on, it's never been more on the individual doing it than it is today because there's so many ways to research easily what is happening with the product you're trying to engage with.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing with prediction markets, right? I feel as if prediction
Huge.
markets are more dangerous than gambling is
Because they're
because
fixed.
yeah. I think I saw a tweet before we started the show today that said you on some of these prediction markets you either lose or you're insider trading. Like those are the two options that you have. I saw somebody had put money on how many times Elon Musk was going to tweet in a 24-hour period. And, the person had like 2 hours to go and Elon was 14 tweets shy of the line. But then all these people are tweeting at Elon Musk, adding him and just saying, hey, this person is $500,000 riding on this. So it's just like
Did he tweet the 14 times?
we tweeted way more than 14 times and the guy was out $500,000. So it's just
No, he
that
won 500.
no, he lost. He lost. He bet he would be fewer than 114.
Oh, he took the under?
Yeah.
Why would Elon Musk cost a guy 500 grand? Like,
Because you could. Well, I'm not saying that he did that. I'm just saying that there were people who can see your positions on these prediction markets and can do with that information what they will, right? That to me is fixed. That to me is not what gambling is, right? When you're hopefully there is integrity when players are playing, right? That's what we all want. But in these prediction markets, that doesn't exist.
What about the length of the anthem? Why is that? Why should that be a bet?
Most of the time, I don't think things like that should be bets.
They rehearse
right? I don't
that,
think. Yeah. There was a thing when they were in when the Super Bowl was in Tampa, and I believe that was the one the Buccaneers won with Tom Brady in their home stadium. I remember there were people who were outside the stadium when they were doing the rehearsals because you can hear everything, timing it, and then they take that information and they tweet out that information. But I've always been of the way where things that are not controllable like that, who could be easily influenced, you should not be able to bet on those things.
All right, what else is on your mind today? It's
The
Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah,
What are you doing for the Super Bowl?
We're 20 minutes into my segment, and we're finally getting to actually talk real sports here and talk about the Super Bowl. I'm excited for this matchup because I like when it's like defensive mind versus defensive mind, right? Like how are they both going to be able to style their defenses in Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel to slow down what have been great offenses? You have Clint Kubiak, who's the offense coordinator for the Seahawks, and then Josh McDaniels, who's a veteran play caller for the Patriots. To me, it's one of those ones that's like a sneaky good Super Bowl, right? Where there's no like dominant team who's coming into this game where you're like, oh, the Chiefs are going to run away with this one. And then maybe you're surprised at what happens when, another team wins. But in this, it's a toss up, right? It's 4.5 points. I think a lot of the public, you included, are on the Seahawks and the 4.5 because it just feels as if they are a better team. It feels as if they're better positioned to win this game. Nobody really trusts what the Patriots have done this year. It's always been talked about. They have the easiest schedule. Drake May is an MVP candidate because of how easy the schedule is. Look what they've done in the playoffs. Drake May hasn't played a great game yet, but in spite of that, they've still been able to win games. How long can that continue for? So I'm excited. Like I'm really excited to go and watch the Super Bowl and see these two teams play. Can
we re-tape the nothing personal pick of the day? Because now I'm thinking about it. If there's more exposure for Vegas on the Seahawks, and that's where all the public is, and this is the Super Bowl for the books, this is really what their numbers and earnings comes from, is all of the action today. It would seem like the Seahawks would not cover unless there's some last-minute extreme money on the Patriots. But I don't know. I mean, you know what? This is ridiculous. It's a great game. I do view the Seahawks as the better defensive team with the Patriots not schleppers, as I mentioned. So I think the stats are with me. If you pick a winner, you're gonna win that side on the bet. That's why I'm going with the Seahawks.
What does that mean, though?
It means
If you
if
pick
can
a
just
winner,
pick a winner.
yeah, I
The
mean
odds
that
of
isn't that the
Seattle
whole.
winning by 1, 2, 3, or 4 points is minimal. If they don't cover, it means the Patriots win the game. 9 times out of 10, a team that wins
Huh.
the game covers.
I don't.
So what you're taught
I
is
don't know if
just
that's.
pick a winner.
Where did you get that statistic from?
Directly in my head.
Yeah,
I
because
have
I mean,
always had the view that if you can just pick a winner, you're going to be fine. That's how I try to look at every game.
well, I think it's important to tell people that that is a completely made up statistic in your brain and not actual factual.
It doesn't make it fake news.
And
I'm just
analytics.
telling you. Well, can we find that out? I'm going to chat GPT it. I'm going to do a quick study of the percentage of teams who win games but don't cover the spread. It's a very simple question that were we to have a greater staff, although then you would not have been nominated for your award because the whole basis of the award is that it's just you and then Mike out there, but that's it. So I don't have it.
Yeah, well, you also can't trust, AI to give you a correct response,
Don't
even
say
though
that.
you're a huge fan of AI. So it's just like you're going from one not correct take to what could possibly be another incorrect take. Yeah, but Kenneth Walker, JSN, the Seahawks defense has been dominant. I love the fact
Why do you
that
call him
Marcus,
JSN? Is that because you can't say his name? Because that's why I call him JSN.
well, Jackson Smith Ninjigba, there you go, JSN.
There's another player like that. The Thunder guard. Oh my God.
SGA.
Yeah, SGA. Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Well, I just think it's funny that DeMarcus Lawrence, who's on the Cowboys, who was on the Cowboys, left the Cowboys and was like, "Hey, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl," and he's up for, he's going for a Super Bowl in his first year with the Seahawks. Just goes to show that, the Cowboys just don't have it. The Patriots, I'd like the idea of Mike Vrabel being a player for the Patriots and then coming back and coaching a team. And if he can win a Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl as a player and a coach with a team, that to me is really cool. And then, we can see what happens with this, electrical facility.
Stop it.
That is by the stadium, are there going to be an increase in injuries?
You're not that guy, are you?
Well, I'm just saying that everybody's talking to all the 49ers people are talking about it. They have to talk about it. They're like, oh, we're going to try and find out if this is true or not. I'm there. I'm in.
84%, Coca. That's the number. It's been reported.
All right, guys.
84% of teams who are the favorite won the game but failed to cover the spread only 16% of the time.
Yeah, in what? In what sport? Like
all NFL games.
All NFL games.
From 2014 to 2023. The number is 16%. So if you choose the winner, you're going to win that 84% of the time.
Nice.
Now, you're
so
not
if
always
you wanted
choose the winner.
So if you wanted any information on the past 2 seasons, you weren't going to get it in that statistic, but you could take that with a grain of salt because David's AI search got him to 2023, but nothing else after that.
Wait, I'm going to try to get 2025 and see if that can work because I really do love that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just telling you that I had it in my head and I'm right. And I'm okay with being right.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
Right.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
No. I actually didn't. It was on Tuesday night. That was the flag football game that was 66-52 won by the NFC. I just had no
I'm
great
surprised
interest.
that you even knew the score because I couldn't tell you. Like I couldn't tell you what the score.
I read an article about it, and I have great recall. I don't know why I remember these things because my brain should be fried. But I believe the score was 66-52 NFC, and Flacco, Shador, Sanders were the quarterbacks. And for some reason, I read that Sanders threw an interception, which is funny in flag football. And it was a smaller field. It was played indoors with only a 17-foot high ceiling. So I guess there's no punting or field goal kicking in the Pro Bowl. It's just flag football. But no, I read something where it's over. The Pro Bowl ratings It's so much smaller than the MLB All-Star Game in July for various reasons. They brought it to Santa Clara to make it part of Super Bowl week, thinking that could help. But the NBA is heading into their All-Star Game next week with the stars, the stripes, and the world. The NFL has switched it around year after year, as has the NBA, and it's nothing. Eventually, they're just going to go away.
I mean, I don't think they're going to go away because they're still producing ratings, right? And that's the most important thing, is that ratings are still there. I also don't think that it's a great city for this, right? Everything is too spread out, where Santa Clara is, over an hour away from San Francisco. It doesn't feel as if it is a city that is made for events like this.
What about South Florida?
What I believe South Florida is sort of the same thing, right? Where, the same thing goes for New Jersey. There are cities, Vegas. That's why everybody wants to get to Vegas. New Orleans, right? That's why people want events in New Orleans. Indianapolis, right? You wouldn't think that Indy would be a place that should be hosting a ton of these things, but everything is just in such close proximity that it gives it that feel when everybody is, coming to the city for that one event, and things are happening and people are showing up. But that's outside the game. The game itself, it's just whatever at this point, right? It's like the same goes for the dunk contest in the NBA, where it's just like there are things that are happening. They're trying new things. They're trying to get players to participate. Maybe the people are showing up and for the Pro Bowl are having fun doing it. But I don't think they care, or we care as much as we care for the NBA All-Star Game to be great, right? Where you want to watch that product and you want to watch, the teams be competitive. When it comes to the Pro Bowl, I don't think that we have that same affinity for it to be a good game.
I'm excited for the dunk contest. They just announced that the Pistons Adonis named Doran, he's participating, as well as Jayden Brown of the Celtics, and the three-time defending champ non-NBA player is not coming back. Mac somebody. So there's McClung. So there's going to be a new slam dunk champion. But of course, am I wistful for the human highlight reel for Dominique and for Jordan? Of course I am. Vince Carter. I mean, come on. But I understand. I understand. It's like the home run derby. It's harder and harder to get players to do the home run derby. It's harder and harder to get the biggest names to come and do it, because it turns out it takes up time and space, and it's hard.
Yeah,
Doing
but
the dunk contest
the last
is
home
not
run,
easy.
no, the last home run derby was fun. They figured out a way
They're
to make
all
the home
fun.
run.
I
No, but they
love them.
figured out a way to make it great, because for the last couple of years up until this past one in 2025, it felt as if the home run derby was falling apart. But this past one, where they had the homer off at the end, like that, to me was super exciting. I've always said in these recent years, when stars don't want to do the dunk contest anymore, there are professional dunkers out there. I think it would just be a fun thing, and it would make it more competitive to get 3 professional dunkers and 3 NBA dunkers and have a tournament-style dunk-off and do it that way, right? Bring in people who are doing things that we've never seen before and have them dunk, right? Because
It's a halftime show. Go to a halftime show. You can see the cool dunkers with the trampolines.
No, this isn't trampolines, though. This is people actually doing dunks, and that's what the dunk contest is and what it was. But it feels like we've run out of things, and NBA players have run out of things to actually wow us, right? We had one with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, and it was so great because they were doing things we've never seen before. But it feels as if, the star players in the NBA now, they're just not trying to do those things. They're not trying to go there and show out. So bring in people who do this for a living, right? Make it competitive by forcing people to be competitive.
I just think there's runs. And the dunk contest had a great run when they were dunking. Dwight Howard puts on a cape. There's guys who are jumping over cars, jumping over players. And it was new and fun and interesting. And you had the wow factor. It takes a lot more to wow us now, because the library of wow is so much bigger with social media and video. It used to be that we could only be wowed on television. And whoever was not put on television would perform in front of 20 people in a local town and no one would know about it. Now, if you do something wow worthy, you get millions and millions of views, millions of people watching. So our wow tolerance, it's like we were addicts and now we need more of it in order to get that same feeling. And I think that's what it is with the dunk contest, with the home run derby. Frankly, I think that's what it is with everything in our world. We've all become addicts, and in order to feel anything, we need extremes. And I mean, I'm guilty as charged. I think we all are. There's something we like watching. There's an Oscar-nominated short documentary called Armed Only with a Camera. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I'm watching from every category, so I'm fully prepared for the Oscar ballot this year. And it's about a journalist named Brent Renaud, and he died in Ukraine, the first American journalist who died in the Russian-Ukraine war. And his brother filmed him in the casket in a way that felt so intrusive, but you couldn't turn away from this journalist who had been killed in Ukraine. And I was thinking to myself, God, what we need when we're watching Alex climb Taipei 101 and we're talking about what Netflix's delay is and what will happen if he falls and will he fall. It's almost like we're watching it because we're thinking, all right, we don't want to miss that moment. I think that Coca, it's going to get worse, not better in terms of that need for us to feel something.
Yeah, but this is where I'm going to once again strongly disagree with you, right? Because you are the movie guy. How many remakes of movies come out of a movie that was just made in the 80s and now it's remade now and you watch it and you drool over it where you're like, oh, the new Running Man was so much better than the old Running Man.
Maybe an excessive answer.
All right, anyway.
I liked it, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you're saying, oh, we've seen things before. We haven't been wowed. Most of the movies that you're watching are the same tropes, right? It's the same story just being told a different way. You have a different character playing a different thing, but it's rinse, wash, repeat of the same exact storylines just played by different actors and different surroundings. And then you're like, oh, this was a great movie, right? It's the same thing goes for songs. We listen to songs, but a lot of songs that we listen to are similar, but they make us feel something different. Even though it could be the same song by the same artist played in just a different style, we still feel differently from doing that. So, going back to the dunk contest, you can't say, oh, we're not wowed anymore because we see something online. It's to me, it's the same thing. It's like if you see it in a competition, it's going to feel different because there are stakes at play there, right? You can advance. You can give $1 million to the winner, and you can have, 4 of the best dunkers from the country come and battle it out for $1 million and do things we've never seen before up against NBA players. But I think just getting rid of it because it feels stale defeats the entire purpose of what you should be doing. That to me feels like it's the easy way out by saying, hey, let's just get rid of it. It's not working. Because then it's just like, all right, scrap the All-Star games, scrap everything, and just, don't do the entire weekend, which I don't think they're going to get to because, like I said, things still rate and TV deals are the ultimate winner here.
So the majority of people only saw the most recent Running Man, not the old one, because they're not going to go back and watch a movie from 1987. Because if you're born in 2000, you're already 26 years old. It's the equivalent of me watching a movie from 1955, 13 years before I was born. I am rarely, if ever, going to do that in my lifetime. And so the reason why you get remakes and you just drop the 80s like it's yesterday, which to me it is, but it's 40 years ago. To the 80s, to people born today, is the way the 40s were to me. I didn't think about the 1940s. You learn about war, you learn about things like that, but in terms of cultural significance, things going on, and in terms of stories being told the same, of course there's multiple movies that talk about the relationship of fathers and sons or fathers or daughters, but the reason why you can have a new movie that does something and that wins awards like Sentimental Value this year, what's the big deal about a father who doesn't get along with his 2 daughters because he works too hard? That seems like a Tuesday, but yet there's something about that movie that the way it's written, the way it's filmed, the way it's lit, that there's something that just gets you. And so you don't need an original story. You need it to be presented in an original way. And there's a lot of great movies right now that are doing that,
And
actually.
you could say the same thing about a dunk contest.
You can. And so
But
it
that's the point
behooves
I'm
the
trying to.
NBA to do it.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. Is that just because you feel like you've seen something doesn't mean that other people have seen that too. We have to stop.
But
We have to
Coca,
stop thinking. We have to stop thinking that everybody is online watching the same stuff that we are, because it's
now
not.
that's a good one.
Because it's not the case, right? I can see a video that you have never seen before. You can see a video that I've never seen before, and that's why we're always sharing things. Whether it's stories, whether it's articles, whether it's pictures, videos, whatever it is because we're not seeing the same things. So you
Is that
can't
an algorithm
assume.
difference? Is that what happens where I
Yeah, I
get
mean,
pushed things that you don't because of? But if we both watch the same videos all the time, why don't we have the same algorithms?
because that is another one of the problems, right? Is that we just live in an algorithm now. We live with companies. It used to be that you were able to see what you wanted to see, right? You can go to a place and you can watch it yourself, and you could pick and choose what you wanted to see. Now we're just fed what these companies believe that we want to see, and then they make you believe that you actually like seeing those things.
Oh my God. Go back to Aaron Sorkin, who's a writer, a great writer, in a movie called The American President with Michael Douglas as the president and Michael J. Fox as his, PR, maybe in his cabinet somewhere. I can't remember what Michael J. Fox's role was exactly in The American President. And they were having an argument about something, and the president says, "We don't lead people to water to make them drink," and I'm paraphrasing, "because there's actual water. We tell the people there's water." And that's what algorithms is. We don't tell YouTube what we want to see. They tell us what we want to see, and then we vote with whether we watch it. And so I love that the algorithms push things to me. I didn't know I needed a new ottoman. All of a sudden, I'm pushed ottomans. But here's what I would love. I'd love the ability to now, once the ottoman's been purchased, I'd like never to see another ottoman commercial on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. So if anyone's out there listening, and I can stop it and I can block it and I cannot watch it, because when you watch it, you get screwed. But I want there to be like a button, like, yes, I already updated my iPhone, or I got the new headsets. I don't need all of the ads from all the influencers. Click below, click below. I get like 40 ottoman things each day.
But that's the funny part of this, is that like you didn't need an ottoman.
Oh,
It's
I
not,
did.
No, but that's what I'm. You didn't need an ottoman, but the algorithm told you that you needed an ottoman, so
They nailed it.
you felt compelled to buy that ottoman, and that's essentially
No,
what the
I
algorithms
needed
are.
it.
That's what this, that's what algorithm content is. It is just a
I
buffet.
only had 8 inches of depth. Now I've got 17.
It's a buffet.
Needed
it's a
it.
buffet of things that you don't need, that they're telling you that you do need, and then you just watch it so much that you're just brainwashed into thinking, oh, this is all that life is. Life is ottomans.
I didn't need a new carry-on suitcase, but when I'm told that it's the greatest carry-on suitcase ever made, that finally the number one, and it includes the greatest toiletry kit of all time. You're right, didn't need it, but once I know it's going to be the best one, yeah, I'm clicking.
Can I ask you about
ridiculous.
stadium food? I've always wondered,
Ooh, yes.
because we've had these releases, right, with spring training coming, all these teams in Major League Baseball, and we can bring it back to the Super Bowl too. They have all these new items, and the items look like things that nobody should ever eat, right?
They don't.
You have like a 40-pound bucket of nachos with, Korean style barbecue on top of them, covered with ice cream and cinnamon sugar with whipped cream, and you're like, who would eat that? Like, who would eat that? And then you go deeper and you're like, who comes up with this stuff? who are they serving? I think I saw like brisket donuts. The idea of it sounds delicious, but would I ever eat it? Probably not. So I just want to understand what meetings are happening where you guys are coming up
Okay.
with these items and why you think that they relate to the fans.
Oh, well, those are several different questions. Let me start with the funny one. Do you know what the best selling and most sold item is at a baseball game? What's your guess?
Popcorn.
No. Beer. Number two.
Oh, I thought we were talking food.
Well, whatever. From the concession stand. Number two. Tenders. Chicken tenders.
Yeah.
The number of chicken tenders that are bought during a baseball game would knock your socks off. They come with a few fries. You put a few fried tenders in. You can charge $10. Great margin. Beer, the number one margin of any product in the ballpark, period. Alcohol, shots are great, but very few people drink alcohol at baseball games. So, why is it that every year we would meet with our concessionaire? The chefs would get together and present us with these new items on the menu. A 10-foot high hot dog with this, that, and the other thing. It's all just for a press release. It has nothing to do with profitability. We're not going to make money on the commission from these products because no one's buying them, no one eats them. But we will get traction because we will have a release that says Marlins Park this year is introducing the Cuban size Cubano with more pork than any other ballpark in the world. And it is, 10 inches high, 10 inches wide for $69.69. And then we'll get the report at the end of the game. Total sales of the biggest Cuban sandwich of all time, 0. And you know what? We don't care because it's ready. We've got it, but we are purposing those ingredients for different smaller sandwiches that are being bought. But we get to make the announcement. And you get chefs from, this is the greatest, when you have a concessionaire, they fly in the best chefs that work for them. And they come to you and you do a tasting. And I would do a tasting every year of the new items on the concession menus. And I'd be like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. That one's great. And it's here's our hamburger. It's so ridiculous. You're so full. And then you go to walk around the ballpark during the season and you're looking at the little specialty concession stand and there's like 4 people online. And then you go to the place that's doing beer and chicken tenders and you're like, why can't we get this line moving? We got to develop a way to get handless, cashless checkout. We got to figure this out because that is the reality of supply and demand of real concessions. So, Coca, it's all a joke.
Yeah, because that's how it is for me when I go to games, right? You just like see the booth, and then you're like, huh, that'd be cool. And then you just walk right past it and you go get your chicken tenders and your garlic fries if you're at Yankee Stadium, right? That's it. Or if you're at Citi Field, it's like they have a Shake Shack, right? Like why do I need anything else if they have a Shake Shack there? So it's just funny to me because you constantly see this, right? And you have, there's like the day before the season starts for Major League Baseball where they have the events where like every reporter comes in and they do a taste testing of the new menu and everybody's excited and they're like, wow, that's so cool. A 20-pound ice cream sundae. Wow. And then, you just forget about it. So I just wondered why that was a thing that teams.
It's PR. Do you know at Citi Field we would get before the game? The clubbies would bring in Shake Shack for us.
It's the best.
And so we would have it, and someone, the way it would work is that a not the clubhouse manager, but one of the kids working for the clubhouse manager would leave the clubhouse, would go to the Shake Shack in center field, whatever it's called, the Shake Shack counter, and then bring back a bag of Shake Shack for the executives who were at Citi Field. We appreciated that. We like the name brand. Like we'd get Chick-fil-A a lot. We'd get Shake Shack a lot. It used to be in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know why I'm thinking of this. The Orioles played in a very old stadium in Fort Lauderdale for spring training, which is now where Inter Miami used to play before they moved to Miami. And the only food that we would get when playing the Orioles for the players and for the staff was McDonald's. It would be a
Interesting.
stack of McDonald's in the tiny little visitors clubhouse where the Orioles and Marlins, or Orioles and Expos, would play games before the Orioles moved, obviously, spring training facilities and left Fort Lauderdale. But yeah, and there's some places where you get great food and some places where you get crappy food, and you just sort of learn which clubhouses have the best food. And it became a big deal in the last CBA, where players required a certain level of food for themselves as part of the CBA. And of course, owners were happy to do it because they overlooked, dollars to pick up pennies. But clubhouse food has gotten way better as players have. You don't find players eating McDonald's in front of other players. They just sneak it into their rooms at night.
Yeah, and Super Bowl parties, that's like what I'm always excited for, is that food selection at Super Bowl parties.
Isn't it always the same?
Yeah, but I don't care. It's delicious, right? I want my wings, buffalo wings, blue cheese. I'm a blue cheese guy. Sliders, there have to be sliders, like cheeseburger sliders. Has to be.
What's the math on a slider? How many sliders can you eat before you've had one full burger?
I don't know what the math is, but there's this place in Jersey called White Manna, and it's like on those, like one of those lists, like 100 burger places you have to go before you die, and they're like these small, tiny burgers. That place, in my heyday, it would be like 6 doubles. Like that's what I would get, 6 double cheeseburgers.
But what does
with
that
cheese.
equal? Is that a Big Mac? Are you having 3 Big Macs? I think there's a capacity in your tummy. I was thinking about when they sliced the pizza and the big New York square triangle slices. When you slice it in half and you pretend, oh, that's for kids, adults will eat the half of the half slice at a birthday party because you can eat it without folding it in like 4 bites, and you can have like 7 halves.
No,
and then you
nothing.
do the math
Nothing.
And you're like,
no,
oh,
the pizza
no.
thing annoys me. Nothing annoys me more than when you have to go to a kid's birthday party. So I have to take the kids all the time to kids' birthday parties, and they slice the pizza into these thin strips. I don't want that. Right? I don't want to be the guy.
But how many do you eat?
But I'm saying I don't want to be the guy with 10 tiny slivers
That's
of
exactly
pizza
right.
on my plate, right? Just give me 2 adult-sized pieces so I feel better about myself than eating 10 little slivers of pizza. I don't want that.
But the math is beautiful because people are buying and eating more. Your burger place is a great example. If we did the math on you do 6 doubles from your little burger place, if you went to a regular burger place, you wouldn't order 2.5 doubles for yourself. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely true. But White Manna, you have to check it out if you're a burger person.
Is that a paid commercial?
I wish it was.
Do you want free?
Yeah, what is that? Is that the guy in Popeye? Is there the guy in Popeye who all he does is just like eat cheeseburgers?
Didn't they just close a bunch of Popeyes? I think.
Well,
that
I was
news.
talking about the cartoon. I wasn't talking about the chicken
spinach
place.
guy with olive oil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why would I talk about cheeseburgers and a guy eating cheeseburgers if I was referring to Popeye's, the chicken place?
Why did you? I didn't even think you knew who Popeye was. Is that a thing? Do kids still watch cartoons of Popeye?
Well, I'm 35 years old. I'm not a child anymore. So
do you watch Popeye?
Well, I'm saying when I was a child, I knew who Popeye was. Like it wasn't like
surprised.
it wasn't like, once you became an adult, it wasn't like everything from your childhood just disappeared. Right? There was still access to those things. So in my childhood, I still had parents who are your age who would show me those things as well.
Did you eat spinach because of Popeye?
No, I didn't do that.
Because I thought that
and that is why today you are brainwashed by the algorithm and they know that you want an ottoman. Is because Popeye eating spinach made you eat spinach. All right, everybody, enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm out of here.
Coca, the award-nominated producer. Let's be careful out there. We will be back Monday. It's just business. Have a fun Super Bowl. This is nothing personal.